Alright, today we're going to talk about reflections, and reflection means to do what? Yes, so reflection means to flip or reflect an image, okay? So the thing that we need to understand is that the figure is going to be reflected, so it's going to be flipped over a line. And that line, what we call it, is a line of reflection. Okay, and we have a few rules. Okay, if we reflect across the x-axis, the x stays the same. If we reflect across the x stays the same, and the y is the inverse, the opposite. Okay, so see how it's y here, positive y, and then it goes to negative y. And if we reflect over the y stays the same. So if we reflect across the x stays the same. If we reflect across the y stays the same. And notice how the opposite is positive x, and then it changes to its inverse, negative x. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's look at some examples together. If we look at example 1, it says reflect the triangle over the x-axis. So what is our line of reflection? The x-axis. That's going to be like our mirror. So I want you to go ahead with a highlighter and highlight the x-axis. Alright, so the key here is that we can do it two ways. We can know our rule, which is easy. If we reflect across the x stays the same. So we know that A prime, the new one, would be 2 still. And that the y value is going to be the opposite. So our A prime would be 2, because if we reflect across the x-axis, the x stays the same. Okay, and what happened to the other value? It's the opposite. So the opposite of positive 3 is a negative 3. Good job. And we can do that for all of these. If we reflect across the x stays the same. So B prime would be 3, because the x stays the same, and the y is the opposite. The opposite of positive 1 is negative 1. Now, I also want to show you how we can do this manually without the rule and why the rule works. If we look at point B, okay, point B is at 3, 1. Now, how many steps away is it from our line of reflection? It's 1 step away. So if it's 1 step away on this side of the mirror, how many steps away will it be on the other side? 1. You got it. So B prime would land right there. See how it's the same equal distance away from the line of reflection? Let's look at A. Let's see if A works this way. Let's count from point A how many steps away it is from the line of reflection. 1, 2, 3. Very good. So it's 3 steps away from our line of reflection. So how many steps away will it be on the other side? 3. You got it. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3. Plot that point, and we're going to label it A prime. Same for C. C is how many steps away? 2. So how many steps away will it be here? 2. Good. It has the same distance away. So that's C prime. So now our triangle has been reflected. And remember the C. We're going to name that C. If we reflect across the x stays the same. And the y is the opposite. So let's see if that's true. 1, negative 2, go over 1 from the origin, 0, 0, and go down 2. And yes, that's correct. Okay, so let's try the next one. Okay, the next one says to reflect the rectangle over the y-axis. So what are we flipping our figure across? Good, we're going to flip it over the y-axis. So what do we need to do to that y-axis line? Bold the line. Bold the line. Guys, let's go over our quadrants. Okay, remember the quadrants, we make the letter C. Draw the letter C. So where we start the letter C is in quadrant 1, Roman numeral. The next one's quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So where is the rectangle at now? Yep, good. Quadrant 3. So if I want to flip it over our y-axis is our line of reflection, which quadrant would it land in? You got it, quadrant 4. Okay, let's work. If we reflect across the y, the what stays the same? If we reflect across the y stays the same. So look here, my M prime, I'm going to go to my y coordinate, and right now my y coordinate is -3. So what will my new y coordinate be? -3. Now remember, the x is going to be the opposite, because if I reflect across the y stays the same. Okay, but my first value is my x. The x is the opposite, so in our problem we have -5. We want to change that -5 to a +5. Okay, now let's check it based on the other way, just by counting on a graph. So here's my line of reflection here, and I want to know how many units away M is from our line of reflection. Let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is 5 units away. So how many will it land on the other side? 5 units away. So we'll get on our line of reflection and let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. We're going to label that M prime. And let's see if our ordered pair matches its location. 5, -3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. It does match. So that shows you either way is okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and show you the counting way again. A, how many units away is A from our line of reflection? 1, 2. So how many will it be on the other side? 1, 2. Very good. Plot that point and label it A prime. Let's try H. H is how many units away? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how many will it be away on the other side? 5. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's try T. Try T. Look up when you're done and see if your T is in the same spot as my new T prime. Remember, after it has been reflected, we have to put those prime markings on it, that apostrophe. Excellent work, guys. Okay, now we have to just name our new coordinates. So go ahead and try that. Look up whenever you're done and see if your answer matches mine. Make sure you're marking it with H prime and naming the location of the ordered pair. Take a moment and look at that and see if your answers match mine. Great job. Notice these shapes. The image we started with, the original image, and the new image. What do you notice? It started as a rectangle and it's still a rectangle. Okay. The side length here was 2 units by 3 units. And guess what it is here? 2 units by 3 units. So we know that the pre-image, the new and the old, are congruent. Their angles, if this is a 90-degree angle, what's this one going to be? 90-degree angle. Yeah, so the angles are congruent. And also, the corresponding sides are also congruent. Good job.